Hello and welcome to episode 272 of the Craft House Magic podcast. My name's Ellie and I'm coming to you from Norwich in Norfolk in the UK, and today is the 6th of June. So welcome everybody. I hope you've all had a lovely crafty week since the last time I've spoken to you, and I'm here to share all the things that I've been making in the last 7 days. So today I've got some knitting, I've got some crochet, I've got a few things that I've been sewing, showing some of the things I showed on last week's vlog that was sort of sewing bee challenge. I've got some confessions, oh dear. I've got a section on what's occurring, which includes our meet up and talk about subscriber giveaways. And then I've got a little shop update at the end of the podcast with some news on changes that are happening to the shop and stuff about yarn clubs and things like that. And then Jensen's little appearance at the end of the podcast in one of the tops that I've modified for him. So there we go. I will go straight into the knitting section and chat to you about what I've been making. So I'm going to talk about a finished object first. So this is my finished Triangulum cowl. This is the fingering weight version. I have showed you one in DK before, but this is slightly lighter weight. I will pop it on so you can see what it looks like. So my Triangulum blanket pattern came out a couple of years ago, but I've modified the instructions so it includes instructions how to make this cowl as well. It is completely enclosed. It's a whole tube of the little triangles so that you don't see any of the back of the triangles. It's all the sort of stockinette size, and this is just a lovely cozy little make. And if you started the blanket and you think, well, I don't really want to make a whole big blanket, you could adapt it into the cowl instead. So this, I used loads of little scraps of leftover sort of 3 grams for each triangle, so you could use lots of leftovers. This sort of colour scheme I was trying to go for was sort of jewel tones, but there were a couple of ones I was thinking maybe I shouldn't have put that in there, but I think the overall colour scheme sort of goes together, so that's good. There are instructions of how to use 6 different colours if you're making something that you want to be consistent, but then if you're just using scraps you can use sort of random colours here and there. But it's a nice little handy little pattern that you can use scraps up if you do have them. So like I said, it's available in fingering weight and DK instructions so that the triangles come about roughly about the same size, and obviously the DK one is quite a lot thicker, but this one's pretty warm as well, being as it's sort of double the thickness of the yarn anyway. So I'm really pleased about that. So you'll get an update by the end of this week about if you've already purchased the pattern, with the instructions for the cowl, which will have a link to a little video of how I joined the pieces together. I talk about how to do it so you can pick up stitches and not have to sew anything in if you want to do it that way as well. So you can purchase the pattern from Ravelry and on my website as well. So there we go. It's a lovely snuggly cowl. I'll quickly show you so you can see that it is double-sided tube made of all scraps of all my yarns that I had in my stash, and I was sort of going for a sort of jewel tones theme, but going for lots of different colours put together. And there we go. So next I've been working on my Wonder sweater. Now this is what it looks like so far. Ta-da! You can see that I finished the bottom, but you can see that the front of the pattern, because you've got all this garter stitch, it is actually pulling up slightly. So I think when it's blocked that'll equalise in length. I have pretty much nearly finished this sleeve because I have decided I'm going to do 3/4 length sleeves, but I haven't obviously started the second one. But I'm hoping I'll have it finished and blocked by next week so I can model it for you and show you what it looks like. This is the Wonder sweater by Tin Can Knits. It's a fingering weight pattern, and its size is available from like a baby to a large adult, so it's a brilliant pattern. Adam's mum knitted the smaller, I think it was a 2-year-old version for Jensen some time ago, and I fell in love with it even more, and I had to have one for myself. Isn't that cable gorgeous? Absolutely love it. So this colourway is Ice Ice Baby in my BFL and nylon base, and I thought that BFL would be sort of a bit more durable because I wanted this jumper to be a sort of everyday wear rather than something I pick up for sort of special occasions. I thought that the BFL, because it's longer fibres, it shouldn't pill quite as much, and then I won't have to depill it very often, hopefully, so we shall see how it goes. Normally I've got this yarn made up in socks, which is pretty good, and it hasn't pilled that much, so I'm hoping this won't need depilling much at all. So there we go. I have started, so what I did, I chose the size that was pretty much my bust size instead of having positive ease, because I find that at the top here I've got quite narrow shoulders. I find that actually if I go for my sort of bust size without adding any ease, it comes out quite a nice fit. Previously I have chosen the size that coordinates with my upper bust measurement, and then I've increased under here, but actually I can just get away with doing my exact bust measurement rather than giving it any positive ease, and then it seems to work out okay. I don't mind it being quite close fitted at the front, but it's not tight in by any means. It's just 0 ease rather than being negative ease. So that's how I've chosen that one. Trouble is, I find that for some reason my arms always come up a couple of sizes narrower than the pattern states for the size that I cast on for my bust, so I had to go down 2 sizes on the arm so that it would be a snug fit, so that it would balance out with the fit of the rest of the garment. So what I did is that when I picked up the stitches around the arm, I immediately started doing some decreases every other row until I got to the stitch count for the size below. And when I actually picked up stitches, I only picked up, I think it was a couple less on each side of the starting point. I picked up a couple less so that I would have less to decrease in the first place. So you can see that it sort of goes up a little bit at the top there, but once that's blocked and on me you won't be able to see it at all. But it does mean that the arm fits really nice. I have tried it on to see what it looks like, and it looks good so far. So I'm going to keep trying it on, knit a bit more, and then I'm going to do 3/4 length sleeves, I think, for this one. But I thought I'd get Barbara to model it for you so you can see what it looks like on a person instead of me just holding it up like this. Barbara, would you like to come over? Right, so there we are. Thank you very much, Barbara. You can see that it is a little bit shorter at the front, so I'm hoping that that will block out just a little bit at the front. I have done this a little bit shorter than the pattern suggests, actually quite a lot shorter. I think the total length of the original was sort of 18 inches, so mine comes up to about 15 at the bottom. And I thought I wanted it to be quite long, but I don't want it so that it's absolutely drowning me, especially because I've done it a sort of closer fit rather than the extra positive ease that the pattern suggests. So that's what's happened there. And you can see that I'm knitting the sleeves on magic loop, and I have actually stopped halfway through a side. I think that was because I was knitting and Jensen just said to me, "Mummy, stop knitting," so I had to stop knitting immediately, of course. But there we go. It's got a relatively wide neck, but I think because I've chosen a size that is sort of my bust measurement with no positive ease, it does come in a little bit narrower than it would have done if I'd have picked the actual size that they say, including positive ease. It does come out a little bit sort of wider than a standard round neck, and this is what the back looks like. Just a nice plain back. It's a nice easy knit. When I was knitting sort of here, it was getting a little bit boring because it's not, there's not a lot to sort of think about, but actually when I'm doing TV knitting it went along quite quickly to knit the rest of it. So I'm hoping to finish that by next week and have it to show you so that you can see the finished garment. This is my 5th garment this year, so I'm not doing too bad. I do have a massive list of things I want to make this year, so I haven't done too bad at all. At least if I get 9 of them done I'll be quite happy. So there we are. Thank you very much, Barbara. Let's go on to the next thing. So now moving on to the crochet section. Now I don't know whether it'll look like I've done very much, but I feel like I've done quite a lot on this. So this is the Daisy Puffagon, or the Daisy Puff Blanket by Sandra Paul, and I have actually added about 9 hexagons since the last time I showed it to you. It does seem to be growing quite quickly to me anyway. Whether you can tell any difference between me showing it on camera since the last time, but I'm trying to do one at least sort of every other day so that it grows slowly. I know this is going to be quite a long-term project because I want it to be quite a big cozy blanket to go on the lounge sofa So that's how it's going on so far. So I'm using fingering weight yarn held double and some DK yarn and the odd bit of Aran in some places, but not too much because it obviously will change the gauge a little bit. But if it's just on one row, it doesn't make it as much of a difference. So I did do a little video where I actually showed you some sort of tips that I'd picked up on how to do these, so I will link that video in the description bar down below. It was like a vlog of me doing several crafts, and there was a timestamp to where you can find me when I was doing the actual blanket. But it is a really lovely pattern, and it is using quite a lot of scraps up. So I have got a little basket here that I had yarn that I'd sorted out, and actually it had gone down quite a lot until I found a few skeins that I'd got hidden up in some project bags. So it did go down quite a lot because it started off a little bit sort of heaped, went quite down, and now I've added a few more skeins. So, but at least it does mean that I can make it a decent sized blanket, and I don't have to dye up too much to make it the size that I want it. I'll quickly show you the back of the blanket. It is joined as you go, and I showed you in that video I was talking about how I just joined at the back of the loop on the length, and in the corners I did it through the whole thing, just because I didn't want there to be sort of crochet stitch marks all the way across the front. It doesn't show up when you just do it on the back loop. So there we go, that is my little bit of progress on my blanket. Hopefully in a couple more weeks I'll have quite a significant amount of progress on it, but we shall see. I'm able to sort of fold it up now, which is good. I always think it's very satisfying when you can fold a blanket up that you're making. So the next section is my sewing section. If you watched the vlog from last week where I did some sewing bee challenges, you might have seen some of these already, but I have done a little bit more because I've got the sewing bug again, the dressmaking bug. So in the vlog I sewed the Agnes t-shirt. This is a Tilly in the Buttons pattern, and the Agnes t-shirt, there's a couple of different choices that you can have. There is a little bit of elastic that you can zhuzh up here, and there's a puffier sleeve that you can choose as well, but I just wanted to do a nice plain one because I loved the colour of this gorgeous fabric. So this is a cotton jersey, which I got from the Festival of Quilts last year, but I can't remember what shop I got it from. It might have been Fabrics Galore, but I can't remember for sure. But in the video last week I showed you how I did this. I did add some new little labels which I was quite pleased about. These labels I've got in the shop at the moment, and I hand stitched this to the back neckline just because I wanted it not to show on the back of the t-shirt at all. But I think that's just nice to have something that looks like a proper finish rather than it just being the overlock stitches. So the Agnes t-shirt, I absolutely love it. I've chosen the sizes and I've made a few of these, so I know that that will fit me nicely. I know that I've got, I think it was, I can't remember what the size is. Basically I greyed out from smaller sizes at the shoulders to a bigger size at the bust and the hip, the same size as my bust and the hip. So that's quite easy to do. But now I've made it, I've got the pattern that I've adapted already, and I can make them as and when I need new t-shirts really. So that is the t-shirt that I made in the vlog. The next challenge in the video was to transform some t-shirts. So Jensen had got a big packet of t-shirts that I'd got that, well they weren't t-shirts, they were baby grows, they were pressed stud underneath the legs, and now he doesn't really wear those much. I find that you just tend to end up having to change his top as well as his bottoms if his nappy does leak. So what I decided to do is chop the bottoms off of these and hem them. So this isn't the actual one I showed in the video from last week, but it's another one because I actually ended up doing another 4 of these t-shirts that were out of the same packet. So I basically just chopped them off as long as I could and then turned them up 1.5 centimetres, and I used my cover stitch machine to finish those off so that it's nice and neat. You don't need to have a cover stitch machine for it, you could just use a zigzag, but I do like having a really professional finish. It is expensive to buy one of those machines, so you really need to know that you're going to use it a lot, but I love the sort of finish that it creates. So the third thing that I showed in the video last week was this little jumper. I did get Jensen to give a twirl last week, so I won't get him to try it on again. But this is a Billie jumper, but the mini Billie jumper. I love the Billie jumper for myself, the adult version, and I thought, how cool is it that I can make a mini one for Jensen? The Billie jumper is just a standard sort of sweatshirt pattern. The size that I chose was a 3 to 4 year old size, which is a little bit big for Jensen, but I thought there's no point in making things that are going to only just fit him now, so I thought I'd go for the slightly bigger size. And up to 4 years there's a button placket on the side here, so he can open this to get his head through, so he's got a little bit of extra room. But the sizes above that, I think it goes up to 12-year-olds, they don't have that, the button placket. So when he gets up to the next size, I won't have to make that little bit of extra work. It's only a little bit of extra work having to do the buttonholes and things. But I wanted to pick some nice bright buttons to go with the dinosaur that I'd appliqued on the front. And I had some leftover ribbing that I had from another top that I made for myself. And I used the little bits of scraps of leftover, which was brilliant because I love not having things to waste. Used that was left over. And this fleecy material I got from Rainbow Fabrics, which I bought to make Adam a pair of jogging bottoms, which I haven't made yet, but I've just cut little bits off the bottom. I did end up getting more than I'd ordered because there was a little hole in the fabric, so I should have absolutely plenty. So I should be hopefully getting around to those next week. But the applique, I just had a look. I just was thinking, right, I need to have a dinosaur. I sketched out a dinosaur and then traced that out onto some Bonder web, or heat and bond rather is the one I prefer, and then I ironed it onto some turquoise fabric and placed that, took the backing off, placed that onto the actual jumper. And I also did the same with some spots with some different colours. This fuchsia pink is the same pink as my t-shirt that I showed you, and I had some little bits of yellow left over from something else, so I placed that on the top, ironed it all on, and then stitched it using free motion stitching technique to finish it off. When I actually finished the jumper, I then popped a little bead on the eye just to make that look a little bit more like a little eye. It wasn't showing up very much before. So there we go, there is Jensen's little jumper. If you want to see him wearing it, if you pop over to last week's sewing vlog video, you can see him do a little twirl with it on. But I'm really pleased with that. It is quite large on him, but again, it's 3 to 4 and he's sort of 2.5, so he has some room to grow. And I think quite a lot of his clothes at the moment for the 2 to 3s are still quite big on him, so he's not a very tall and wide child for his age. So I think the sizing seems absolutely fine to me. I am definitely going to make some more out of the book though. So the mini Billie is out of the Mini Makes book by Tilly and the Buttons, and there's a couple of other things that I'd like to make out of there. There's a pair of leggings that have got an adjustable waistband, which you can put little triangles of fabric down the side of the leg to make it look like a dinosaur, which is a great idea, so I want to try that as well. So that is what I'd got on the vlog last week, but I have made a couple of other things that I wanted to make ages ago and I just hadn't got around to finishing them. So I had cut out some of the leopard fabric that makes this top. So I wanted to make myself some nice sort of pyjamas. I bought that from Rainbow Fabrics, and same with this one, this plain black one, both from Rainbow Fabrics, and they were both like a viscose jersey, so a very soft drapey jersey, and I thought they'd make a lovely pair of pyjamas. So I used my Frankie t-shirt pattern to cut out the top. I have actually made modifications to my Frankie t-shirt though. If you've watched the podcast before, you'll know that I made the neckline quite a lot larger on the Frankie because it's quite a high neckline and I found it really high on me. So what I did is I actually, when I made my first Frankie, I assembled the sleeves and the body, the front and the back all together. And what I did is I placed the pattern pieces for the Agnes t-shirt over the top, and then I sort of traced out where I was going to cut the neckline, cut that bit of neckline, and then I modified my pattern pieces to change it so that the neckline was quite a lot lower. And and this is what I've come out with. Because it is in a viscose jersey though, I always find that when I put the neckline in, it always is slightly more open anyway because of the stretchy nature of the fabric. When I was making this one, I actually put some stretchy elastic, the stuff that I normally use to stabilise the shoulders, right around the neckline to stop it stretching out too much, because I thought, whoa, this fabric is very, very soft and drapey. The sleeve pattern for the Frankie, I think, is supposed to be 3/4 length or full length sleeves, but I've modified my pattern pieces to make a short sleeve one as well. But of course you could do that yourself, work out which length of sleeve you'd like. So this is the t-shirt, but I also made a pair of, well, they are jogging bottoms, but they're going to be pyjama bottoms to go with it. So these are the Stella joggers by Tilly and the Buttons as well, and these are out of, actually the Frankie and the Stella joggers are out of the Tilly and the Buttons stretch book. I should be an advertisement for Tilly and the Buttons, shouldn't I? The reason why I go for Tilly and the Buttons patterns so often is because I've worked out down to a T what sizes I need to cut out, like the shoulders, bust and waist, and same for the trousers as well. So all I need to do is pick those sizes, because I know that that particular manufacturer, they do, that's the shape that they tend to do, so I can just cut down that sort of size. I can just cut like a smaller size, I think it was a size 6 for the shoulders, and then a 10 for the hips or something like that. So I know that I can just go to it, cut out the pattern size, and then it'll roughly fit with a couple of little tweaks. So that's why I like it so much. And plus they've got brilliant instructions, so I definitely recommend it to new sewers as well. So it's a long jogging bottom with a little cuff at the bottom. I did do the cuffs and the waistband all in the same jersey fabric, but I used the pockets. For the pockets I used the same leopard skin print that I did for the top, so that it sort of showed that they were a pair. You can see how wide my waist is. It's terrible, isn't it? I also didn't have enough fabric to cut out the pockets in the black anyway, but I thought actually that's a nice little flash of a different colour, which goes with the top. So the difference with these jogging bottoms, the modification I did is I've done the waistband differently. So the waistband is supposed to be quite a lot wider, but I've got some elastic in my stash. Instead of inserting the elastic inside the waistband once you'd sewn it on, I actually sewed the waistband and the elastic to the body of the trousers in one go, so that it wouldn't sort of flip, because it drives me nuts. I've got a pair of these. I just had a channel for the waistband and I put the elastic inside, and it sort of flips over in some places. So I can easily just stitch along the sides just to keep it in place, but I thought with these ones I'd use a different technique where I actually just stitch the elastic to the trousers itself. I think it does look nicer with a slightly wider waistband, so I'm going to see if I can get some wider elastic for my next pair. But these are sort of my go-to pyjamas that I use, even though these are a pair of jogging bottoms pattern, and the top is not supposed to be for nightwear either, but it's the pattern I sort of like. It's nice and comfy, it's quite nice and drapey and loose, and ideal for wearing in bed. So there we are, I have a pair of pyjamas, and both these fabrics, like I said, were from Rainbow Fabrics. I have popped one of my labels in this as well, so I can see which is the back and which is the front, and it makes it look a little bit more professional. So there we go, that is my sew. Might just pop them on so you can see what they look like quickly, but not showing too much because they are pyjamas. So there we go, quickly you can see that it's a nice loose pattern, because it's viscose jersey, it's extra soft and drapey, and I've got pockets as well, and I think pockets are ideal for pyjamas because you can pop your phone in there, especially where you've got a toddler and you need to sort of run around the house after them. So I'm really pleased with those, and I can't wait to wear them this evening. So that is all the things that I've been making this week, but I do have some confessions. Oh dear. So we had a day out in Sheringham over the weekend, and I know that there's a discount bookstore there that I always have a little look in to see what sort of crafty books that they've got, and I picked up a few. I really don't need these, especially since these, so this one, Colourful Fun Embroidery by Claire Albans, there are the techniques that they use in here is stuff that I sort of know how to do, but I just thought it's so inspiring. There was a lot of things that I quite fancied doing. There was a neckband where they'd stitched, and I thought, well, if I get it, then I can sort of remember that idea of things, and I can modify it to my own sort of taste. But I thought that was really nice. So there's the actual garment on somebody. They've put some stitches around the neck facing, which was really nice. There's some really cute little bunting to go on a cake. How wonderful is that? There's quite a few different lovely little things that are just a nice idea. There's a page here that actually summarises quite a few of them, so you can see they've got some embroidery on the back of a denim jacket. They made a little bag. There's a pin cushion that says ouch, which I thought was a brilliant idea. So lots of little projects that I thought, oh, they look really nice, so I picked that up for myself. And I saw this quilting manual as well. So this one had got quite a lot of free motion quilting ideas, which I thought were fantastic. So when you come to actually free motion a quilt, not that I've made a quilt for ages, but you know, I always think, oh, well, how shall I quilt it? And this one has got no end of ideas of how to quilt. So I thought I'll pick that up, and it will give me some ideas of how I'm going to do quilting on particular projects. Lots of different ideas. It's been written with a collaboration of a load of different quilting people. I know that Angela Walters is on there. She's one of the ladies that I've followed in the past. But there's some beautiful ideas from, you know, really complex ones to quite simple ones. So I picked that up from the shop as well. It's I can't remember what the shop's called, but it is the discount bookstore on the high street of Sheringham. And then I saw this one, and I do not need to buy this book because I could make it up myself, but I thought, do you know what, it's lovely, I will get it. It is Needle Punch. So this has got lots of different animals. So there's a big list of the different animals that they've got in here, but they've got like a llama, lion, there's absolutely no end. And I thought, well, that would be really nice to do stuff for Jensen's room. There's like a raccoon, and there's full sort of instructions of how to do it. So I picked that one up as well. So that one is Punch Needle Friends, 20 Adorable Projects to Embroider by Forts. I can't pronounce these names. I will link them in the description box down below. So I did pick up those 3 books that I don't need, but you know, I do really. So that is my confessions section. So the next section I've got is what's occurring. So we now have a date for the next Barbara's Day Out crafty meetup. That is on the 28th of July at Dunston Hall Terrace Bar at 2 p.m. The last time we went, the actual menu that they'd had previously was back again, so they'd got more variety again, so that's good, and it wasn't ridiculously expensive like it was before. So I'm back to thinking we should stay there for now, because it is ideal, because you can just park up, really easy to park, and then we don't have to book a table. We can all just turn up and have a good time. So everybody is welcome. You don't have to tell me that you're coming. You can just turn up and say hello. It's just lovely to chat about all the crafty things. On the next podcast, I'll be drawing a winner for the subscriber giveaway for this month, for June. So don't forget to subscribe to my newsletter. Just pop over to my website. There will actually come up with a pop-up after a few seconds you've been on my website, and you can fill that in, or you can scroll down to the bottom of the page and there's a little box where you can pop your email address in to get email updates whenever I have something new in the shop. I try not to inundate with emails. I won't send any more than 1 a week, but it's very rare that I send more than every sort of 2 or 3 weeks, really. So the next section is shop update, and I have some news about how I'm sort of reworking my website slightly. So previously I have had an absolute ton of different colourways on my website, which I dye to order, which makes it a really lot of work for me, because I say 25 people order 25 different colourways. I've then got to dye 1 of each colourway, which is getting to be a little bit of a nightmare and being very time consuming. So what I'm going to do now is just have the sort of current colourways in the shop that you can order, and they'll either be pre-order or some of them will be off the shelf as well. With the mini skein sets, those will all be ready to ship from this point on. But if you have any requests for colourways to come back, if you just drop me an email or pop a comment on the YouTube video, and then I'll make sure that I've got that on my list to come around the next time I'm looking to dye up another colourway. It just makes my life a little bit easier. The project bags I'll still be making to order. I have got a whole host of new Liberty fabrics in the shop, as well as you can buy the fabrics on their own. You can buy bag making kits, and I also sell the pre-made bags as well, which I'll make to order. That's just a little update for what's going on at the moment. We have the June yarn clubs for sale in the shop at the moment. They'll be on sale until the 9th of June. So next week those will be dyed up and they will be posted on the 14th of June. So we've got the colourway of the month, which is Wake Me Up Before You Go, and I'll pop a little video on the screen so you can see what the actual knitted swatches look like. We have the Pop Stars mini sets, and the June set will be inspired by Beyonce, and we've got the Music from the Movies Fantasy Edition that will be inspired by the movie Willow, and the images on the screen show the colours that I've taken from either the music videos or the actual movie poster, and you can see the colours that have inspired that, so you get an idea of what the colours are going to be. The colourway of the month is completely exclusive to this month. I also have listed a couple of things recently that I haven't actually mentioned on the podcast. So I've actually listed some Microtex Schmetz needles, and these are the needles that I like to use most of the time for bag making. So these are the Microtex, just means that they're a little bit sharper, and the Schmetz I find are the most consistently good needles that I've tried. So because I wanted them myself, I then bought a load of them so that I could use them for my own needs, really. So I do have some of those in the shop, and I did show these earlier in the podcast, but I have some made by me labels to go in your sort of sewing and knitting projects. These are fabric labels which you can sew onto your projects, just so that you can remember with the back of the neck, or just because you want to mark it that it's made by me, really. And they're just a nice simple little label. So last of all, we've just got a little appearance from Jensen at the end of the podcast, so over to you, Jensen. So what do you think of your top now, Jensen? Do you like it?
Yeah.
What's it got on it? Cat. It's got a tortoise on it. Tortoise? Or a turtle? Is it a turtle or a tortoise? Can you tell? A gaga? What's a gaga? Oh, he's got nails. Are you looking at the nails, are you? Oh, he's got to cut his nails. Oh.
No.
Oh dear. Can you do a 12 for me? Oh, lovely. Thank you very much. Can you say bye-bye to the camera, Jens?
Bye.
Oh, good boy. Thank you. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye.